Good morning. So it is Friday, which means today is our live Q&A. I'm Bill DeWeese, professional voiceover talent and voiceover coach. And one of the things that I'm most grateful for as a voiceover talent, and I always, I think it's a good habit. I was taught this at a young age to start the day on a day of gratefulness, an attitude of gratitude. And I like to think about the things that are good in my life because there's always plenty that you can complain about. There's always plenty that's wrong. But one of the things I really love about voiceover is the flexibility it gives me to do the things that I want to do. For instance, this summer, each of our grandkids, we have three of them, are spending a week by themselves with us. And it's nice to be, and this week was my youngest grandson's turn to be with us. And it's been so cool to have the flexibility to go do the things that we want to do. Like yesterday, we spent the day at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati watching the Reds and the Pirates play, and had some skyline chili, which is a Cincinnati tradition afterwards. And it was just a special day. It's been a special week, and of course, I didn't have that flexibility immediately upon starting because you have to build a business to do that with repeat clients. But it's when that happens, and you've worked so hard to do it, it just man, it's something special. It is something special, and I love it. And I'm thankful for you. I'm glad you're here this morning. I hope you've had a great week. And we get together every weekday morning, right around 8 a.m. Eastern time, I should say. And as is our tradition, as you file in here to the YouTube live stream, make sure you let me know who you are and where you're watching and listening from this morning. And where our numbers are growing here. Thanks for checking in this morning. Love it. And by the way, again, this is all about, it's Q&A this morning, so I haven't come with a specific topic in mind, but would love to answer any questions or concerns that are on your mind as it relates to voiceover. So whatever you're thinking about, thank goodness for the mic mute button. Whatever's on your mind this morning, make sure you let me know, and I'll do my best to answer. Rhonda, how are you doing? What's up? Hey, Steve in Oshkosh, good to have you here. Harrison in Orlando. Hey, Courtney, Little Rock, where it's going to be 100 degrees again today. Oh, man. And I don't know how you feel about the four seasons, but 100 degrees, even though I would probably complain about it, I would complain more when it gets to be sub-zero in the wintertime, which you may not experience so much in Little Rock. Bruce says, happy Q&A Friday, everybody. Hey, David. Back from, good morning from quarantine in Louisville. You're in quarantine, man. I hope you're doing okay and that everything is well soon there for you, that you're progressing along quickly. Hey, Sally, I'm doing great. Hope you are well. Mark, San Antonio, what's up? Bruce. Sally in Pensacola. Pegeen says, found a book that has not been narrated before. Going to narrate /edit /etc. for practice. What are your thoughts on then contacting the author to see if they are interested in purchasing? Tacky or no? No, it's not tacky at all. As a matter of fact, that can be a legitimate audiobook strategy, is to record a book that hasn't been recorded before. And the best way to do that is to actually approach the publisher. The publisher is typically the one who deals with that. If you don't hear back, you might want to try the author. Perhaps the author can then talk to the publisher. But that is certainly it's certainly a strategy to do. David, what's up? CJ, good morning, Wisconsin. All right. Hey, Guy in St. Petersburg, Missouri. Ed, what's up? Hey, Rhonda in Denver. Argonne in Australia. I'm doing well. Hope you are doing well today. Rick, good morning from Wichita. All right. Ola from Tampa. Hey, Jeanette. Oliver from the Philippines. Courtney says, we say no to real winters here in Arkansas. I don't blame you. If I could, I would. Well, Joe, thanks for asking about the Reds game yesterday. Well, the first game was a loss for the Reds. Second game, they won, so I guess we'll call it a draw. The one thing that we didn't realize, back in the day, when you bought a double or a double header ticket, it was good for both games. What we didn't realize was that the ticket I got for yesterday's game was only good for the first game. They actually sell tickets for the second game. And being that the first game was a makeup game, I guess that makes sense. We weren't going to hang around for the second game anyhow, but we wanted to hang around in the stadium to eat. My grandson wanted Skyline Chili, so we were going to go to Skyline Chili. But when the game was done, all the restaurants shut down, and they had to evacuate the stadium, clean it up, and then reopen the gates for the second wave for the second game. So it was hot, though. Wow, was it hot. When we walked in the stadium, it was in the 80s, and I commented to Vicky how nice it felt, and I'm sure it would be a comfortable game. We got down to our seats. We were right on the left field foul line in fair territory, the second row back from the home run fence. And man, it was hot. I think all the heat in the stadium felt like it radiated right off that corner of the stadium. And I think I lost about 15 pounds of water weight yesterday. It was crazy. Bruce says, best warm-up exercises for a rough morning voice. Bruce, I really don't have a standard routine. A lot of people do. Obviously, I have, it's rough for me in the morning, but that has mostly to do with sinuses and drainage and stuff I don't really want to get into. But I will tell you this, the most important part of my morning routine is this right here. It is hot coffee. And whether you're a coffee drinker or you're a tea drinker, a hot beverage in the morning, not scalding hot, but a warm beverage, can do wonders just to loosen everything up. So that's, to open up the pipes, that's my first priority. And it takes me a few minutes to do that. Usually by the time I'm done with this, I'm ready to roll. But a warm beverage, in my case, coffee, this is the breakfast of champions for me. My new personal favorite coffee is the Michigan Cherry coffee from Meyer. It used to be Dunkin' Donuts, and I still love Dunkin' Donuts coffee, but Meyer's Michigan Cherry has now trumped it. Absolutely love it. Of course, what flavor you drink has, or whether you have no flavor at all, has no bearing on the benefit of the beverage for your throat, unless you use a dairy creamer, in which case it might create mucus, and that can be an issue. I know other people who sing scales. I will tell you, if I'm having a hard time getting my mouth to move, I will stretch my mouth. I will yawn, open my mouth as far as I can, stretch it open, and then open it up wide as far as I can. And then I'll take my tongue and move it around my mouth like I'm trying to clean stuff out, like peanut butter out of my mouth. And that helps. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. What I usually try to do is start the day. I usually have multiple projects to start the day. Although, during this time of COVID and now into this rougher economy where people aren't spending as much money and I haven't had as much work, I don't always start the day off with a couple of projects. But when I have multiple projects, I'll start with the easiest one first. It will usually be e-learning related, where I can just take my time and I don't have to push it. I just take a nice, easy pace. And usually after several pages of that, I'm warmed up and good to go. So that's my routine. Happy Friday, Sandy. What kind of attorney should we look for to help us in this biz? Mark, I don't have an attorney. The only outside professional I use is a tax person myself. If you want an attorney, for instance, it's not unheard of to have an attorney just to make sure that you're held blameless for anything that you record. As a matter of fact, Tom Parks was talking about this in his audiobook class, that he asked his attorney to write up a contract that he could have the publishers that he works with sign, so that if somebody followed advice given in a book, even though he didn't write it, he voiced it in case he was sued, which he said he never has been. He doesn't expect to be, but it's, one of those just in case kind of things. So if you wanted, I would imagine any general purpose attorney could get you, whip you up a contract that would hold you blameless for anything that you do if you want to ask your clients to do that. Again, I don't. But that would be, your call if it helps you sleep better at night. Happy Friday, Danny. He's in San Diego. Andrew in Atlanta. What's up? Wolfgang in Frankfurt, Germany. Wolfgang, good morning. Joe, helmet full of nachos? Question mark. And that's a specific reference to baseball. When you go out here to, and I'm sure you can do this at pretty much any stadium, but when we go to see the Reds play, there's a stand right outside of actually where we sat yesterday that sells helmet nachos, and it's a batting helmet. It's an undersized one, basically a children's size batting helmet, big enough. And they fill it full of nachos, and they cover it with cheese and then salsa if you want it. And we had a big old helmet full of nachos with cheese and salsa. It was quite the mess. Cash and I ended up wearing some of the toppings of our food before the day was over, as children will do. That's what we're just being kids, having a good time. Oh, good morning from Denmark. It's it'd be 2:00 in the afternoon there. All right, good morning. Hey, Jerry, Palm Springs, California. We did have a great time at the ballpark. Thank you. Even though the Reds lost the game we watched, we had a great time. There's just, there's nothing like the experience of that, and especially with it being my grandson's first professional baseball game, it was special. Bruce asks, is there a difference between nonfiction versus fiction audiobook voiceover? I'm not really an actor, so prefer nonfiction. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not a trained actor. I've never had an acting lesson, although I've done, I recently did some stuff for a movie where I'm dubbing voices for that and character work for video games and such. So you might be surprised at what you can actually do, Bruce, even though you're not a classically or formally trained actor. However, there is a difference. In fiction, you're typically doing multiple characters, whereas in nonfiction, it's spoken in the voice of the person, typically who wrote the book. It might be a business book, or when I say voice, I don't mean you're doing an impersonation. It's one voice, and you're speaking as the author, whether it's a book on sports or self-help or health related or business. And I find them incredibly easier than fiction. Personally, I don't have an interest in fiction because it's just, it's way too much work for the money. If I'm getting paid X dollars per finished hour of audio, give me the nonfiction book, because I will spend far fewer hours on it. So my pay per hour will end up being more typically, well, always, with a nonfiction book. Aragon says, anything dairy tends to make my voice phlegmy. Yeah, absolutely. So you have to be careful about that. It's interesting. I used to do these a number of years back. I used to do these incredibly long narrations for one of my clients, which I end up raising my rates. Now they don't give me so much work, which is what happens sometimes, which is perfectly fine. They still use me. They just pay me a little more for the stuff they give me. But they would send me these, it'd be like hours of narration. And to the point where I was doing it so frequently and they were so long that it would hurt my throat. And I would drink milk, sip on milk later in the day for relief. For me, it wasn't an issue, but it can be an issue for people. So you just have to, understand your own body and how it reacts to certain things. Jerry's asking about the audiobook bonus class with Tom Parks, and that's happening this Tuesday night. And then that will wrap up our time with Tom. And by the way, this class is available. You can get it right now at audiobookseminar.com, audiobookseminar.com. And all 4 of his sessions are recorded and available right now on demand. You can watch them as often as you want, indefinitely. So if you have any interest in audiobook narration at all, I would strongly encourage you to pick it up. Dale asks a simple question. What is the distance between you and your Sennheiser? Well, let me see. That would be about 1, 2, 3. I'm kidding. Yeah, I use about the distance between the end of my pinky and my thumb. So what's that? 6 inches, 6, 7 inches. So 6 to 8 inches, I would say, is a general rule of thumb. If I'm doing something where I need to speak very softly and make it feel more intimate, I might get a little bit closer. But generally speaking, I'm always that distance from my microphone. Mr. Percy's happy Friday to you. He's in Louisville, Kentucky. Tactical Toes asks, I saw someone say you should never do any buyouts on your voice, but I see people doing on a Fiverr for under 100. So what do you think of it? Yeah, I mean, this is, 20, 30 years ago, sure, you could get by with that. But you know, it's just like, nowadays you don't have to buy a hotel room. You can get an Airbnb. You don't have to use a taxi driver. You use Lyft, you use Uber. It's more convenient. It costs less money. And the same thing with voiceover. Just because of the technology has made everything so accessible, most of the stuff that I do is buyout. 99% of everything I do is buyout. So yeah, I definitely think you should. If you don't do buyouts, then you won't have very much work to do. Argon says, and remember, Argon's an Aussie. Americans have helmet nachos. Aussies get the beer in a shoe. The shoey. I love it. Nachos in a helmet, beer in a shoe. Mark asks, is the Fiverr class from Mallory still available? Yeah, it is, Mark. And her latest Fiverr class, which she just did, a month and a half ago or so, is available at Mallory. I'm going to double check. MalloryFiverrTraining.com. Yeah, MalloryFiverrTraining.com is the URL for that. Do I keep a backup computer ready to roll if the main unit crashes? Yes, Sally, that's a good question. I have redundancies of everything. I have 2 computers. I have got a MacBook Pro and then an iMac that I use. Right now I'm using the iMac as my main computer, but I can use the MacBook Pro as my backup computer. If that one crashes, my wife has a MacBook Air, and I can grab that if I need to. It would require a little more work because I'd have to load the software on that I need. But yeah, I keep a backup computer. I've always kept a backup microphone. I have 2 Neumann TLM 103s. Now with the Sennheiser, I have 3 microphones. I don't have a backup whisper room. No redundancy here. But I've got a backup Universal Audio Apollo twin audio interface. So all the stuff, the main primary components of my sound chain, I've got backups for, because it's my living. And when you get to the point where when you need to make sure that you're able to work, when it becomes, when you rely on it heavily for your livelihood, then you should consider having some sort of redundancies so that you can always work, even if your primary stuff goes down. Bruce says I have a healthy glow, getting lots of sun. That's part of it. The other part is I just have a shiny forehead and the light's just right there. But yeah, thank you. I feel good. Summertime, I tend to get that healthy glow. I like the sunshine. My dermatologist doesn't like me doing that, and every time I see the dermatologist, it's like, so are you using your sunscreen? Are you staying out of the sun? No, I really don't. And I deal with the consequences, but I like the sunshine. It makes me feel good. James Ryder from Austin. Good morning to you, sir. Joe asking, is there a link to Mallory's Fiverr class? Let me see. Hold on just a second. I can post it here in the stream. Make sure I get the HTTPS part all right. I'm going to post it. It's https://MalloryFiverrTraining.com, and it's now in the chat. Sandy asks, does a demo tape need to be original or public domain material? Is there copyright concerns to be aware of with demos? No, there's no copyright concerns. Sandy, it's, in my experience of doing this over the past 16 years, it is standard practice for people to use actual material, real commercials. As a matter of fact, I strongly encourage it. Don't write your own stuff. Don't let somebody else write your stuff. Use real transcribe real scripts written by real professionals. And, if you're using a portion of it for demonstration purposes, you're not selling the demo, so you're not making money from selling it. Um, again, in my experience, I've never known of. I guess it's in a hypothetical. It's possible somebody could, you know, not want you to do that. And if that's the case, what they would do is they would either contact you directly or have an attorney send you a cease and desist letter. It wouldn't be worth their while financially to sue you for it because, again, you're not even making money off of it. Plus, the hassle they go through. But again, I've never known of that to ever happen. So again, it's considered fair use typically if it's just you're using a portion of something else and you're not using it you're not using it to sell it. And what I need to do a whole series on. Would you guys be interested in hearing a series on demos? I mean, I am a demo producer. That's a big part of what I do. It's something I think it's one of the things I do best, and I know a lot about. And perhaps I could take a week sometime and just go through the elements of a demo and talk about demos and answer your questions. If that's something that you'd be interested in, just let me know here in the chat. Tony finally got up early enough in Wisconsin to check the live stream. All right, Tony, good going. You did it. Bruce is asking, what is a buyout? Good question. I apologize that I did not explain that. A buyout is where the client they pay you a flat fee and then they own it to use in perpetuity. They can use it forever. And sometimes the buyout is for specific use, buyout for use on social media or for broadcast. Sometimes it's just a buy. You can, to use for whatever they want. But typically, whatever I charge them, I charge them based on how they're going to use it, and then they own it, whether it's $100 or whether it's, $1,000. Robert from Barbados, what's up? Good morning from Rushville, Indiana. All right. LaSherry in North Carolina, good morning. Tony says yes on demos. He would like to do a show on demos. All right. Well, guys, my grandson is getting ready to leave. So he's getting ready to hit the road. He has to go back to his mom and dad, unfortunately for us, but I'm sure they're anxious to see him. And so we're going to wrap up the stream, and I'm going to go say goodbye to him. But you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for being here.